15 amazing street arts that are at another level. Everywhere you look, there's a work of art to catch your eye. Whether we're basking in the glory of Mother Nature or standing awestruck at the metropolis modulates of maternity with some of the craziest installations in human history, the artist's piece has certainly shifted through the ages. Historically, street art has received a bad rap, particularly in the early days of hip hop and graffiti, but now, both spray paint and latex are pushing the boundaries of the creative medium, from optical illusions to moving mannequins. Here's 15 amazing street art that are at another level. Before we proceed, click on the like button, subscribe to our channel and ring the notification bell so you wouldn't miss any updates. Number 15. Gregor Wasik's Optical Illusions. For our first entry into the weird and wonderful world of artwork, let's take a look at one of the most surprising and unexpected practitioners of the concrete canvas. While street art is typically associated with graffiti artists and some social revolutionaries trying to take a chunk out of the system, believe it or not, that's not always the case. Meet Gregor Wasik, a Polish German artist who's classically trained and has been practicing his incredible art since the early 1980s. His style is exciting, thrilling, and oftentimes slightly scary for ordinary members of the public. Formerly, Wasik was inspired by the old masters of the archetypal art, with his favorite idols being Caravaggio and Rembrandt, and his style has been forged by the various oil and acrylic paintings of the old world. However, Gregor enjoyed nothing more than the huge mural paintings of old, and after seeking a bigger and better canvas to produce his art, he finally found the walls of buildings and concrete pavements on the streets as the perfect place to smear his craft. In 2008, Wasik presented his first exhibition in Vienna, Austria, where he used optical illusions and 3D perspectives to recreate some of the ancient biblical scenes of the old masters. Number 14. Tidal Murals. The truth is, graffiti and urban explorations often go hand in hand, and most of the thrill that was captured in the early days of street art was in trying to access the most inaccessible places, in order to leave behind a tag or a mural that signifies that you, the artist, was there. It was so awesome and thrilling, and part of the reason why graffiti became so impactful in the late 80s and the 90s. So, what could possibly be inaccessible than painting a picture underwater? Maybe not quite, but the method remains the same. Meet Hawaiian artist Sean Yoro, an incredible talent who was taking his painting studio along for a ride along the waves of the Hawaiian shoreline and across the water waves and rivers of the beautiful Hawaiian Islands. Although this artist has been pretty coy about the exact locations of these murals, he insists that all of them were installed in places that appear to be abandoned and lifeless. His goal was to breathe life into the areas through murals and art, installing them in the most unexpected places. Sean's intention was to represent the many changing moods of the times that we are currently living through, almost as if the landscape itself had a myriad of emotions to present. Beautiful. Number 13. Insane 51's Hidden Art. For this next entry, you'll probably need those blue and red 3D glasses you get at the movies to understand the full mastery of this implausible art. But luckily for us, some sort of the technical wizardry has given us the ability to truly appreciate its optical illusion. Meet Stathis Tavalius, also known as Insane 51, eventually came to the artistic realization that blending both green and green in overlapping layers of what creates a three-dimensional illusionary effect. The rest, as they say, is history. As one of the pioneers of the method known as the double exposure 3D, Insane 51 has since participated in many art exhibitions across the planet, including some of the most prestigious street art festivals in Europe, where his pioneering eye for optical illusions have wowed bystanders. Depending on the color of the light exposure on the street art, observers will see contrasting images. In some lights they'll see a beautiful woman staring back at them, but in others they'll see a horrifying and snarling wolf. Awesome! Number 12. Tom Bob's Reinventions. While street art is often reserved for the incredible talent of spray painting lifelike or photorealistic murals, we also have to applaud those who seek to repurpose the most mundane inner-city objects. For our next entry, let's take a look at a street artist to whom nothing is useless. Meet Tom Bob, an artist who has since gained a reputation for running amok the streets of New York and Massachusetts, who uses the forgotten elements of the street to create a series of magical artwork. Whether it's turning electric metals into devious primates or turning sewer drains into the ghost from Pac-Man, Tom Bob somehow manages to see things that others have failed to. While others will look at a boring manhole cover and see nothing but entrance to a sewer, Tom Bob sees a cast iron skillet frying eggs. Many would look at old window covers and rustled metal bars, but Tom Bob sees the silhouette of a bird that has escaped its cage. Although the work can be seen as simple, it's certainly far from obvious, and it's difficult to look at the magical works of Tom Bob and not crack a smile. Amazing! Number 11. Ray Medina Jin's Dia de los Muertos mural. Hold on to your hats because this one is mind-blowing. Believe it or not, but by using crumbling street features like junk and rubble, this incredible artist brought to life the idea of a skeleton rising from the rubble. Much in keeping with the immensely important Dia de los Muertos, the Mexican Day of the Dead that celebrates ancestors from eras past. The multi-day holiday where celebrations are traditionally commenced on November 1 involves family and friends gathering to pray for and remember friends and loved ones that have since passed away. However, rather than being a dark and mournful affair, the festival itself celebrates the spirit realm, and the Mexican people do not see it as a day of sadness, but rather a means of celebration for their loved ones. Back in 2019, to commemorate this phenomenon, an artist named Raimundo Medina built this gigantic skeleton in the middle of the street. Piles upon piles of crumbled concrete were used to create the illusion that the skeleton itself was bursting from underground. The result was insane. Considering the crazy events of 2020 so far, we wonder what skeletal sculptures are awaiting the year's Dia de los Muertos. Number 10. M-City's Kaviv Mural. While many examples of street art are applied for the sheer joy of being alive, some other murals depict a much deeper display of the human condition, such as the case of the M-City's Kaviv murals, a series of spray-painted pieces that have attempted to tackle the complexity of modern-day Eastern Europe. Located in the streets of Kharkiv, Ukraine, this piece is created by the incredibly talented artist M-City depicts what it means to live as a free person in modern-day Ukraine, considering the troubled Soviet history, as well as being a country awash with both Russian sympathizers and freedom fighters amidst a proud independent political landscape, mixed in with a tradition of hard labor and industrialization. This series of astonishing street art signifies that the individual in Ukraine finds their own identity, constantly at war and a state of compromise. M-City, otherwise known as Marius Quares, was born in the late 1970s in the Ukrainian town of Gdynia, and has since gained a reputation in the art world for being one of the most radical and free-picking artists of the past few decades. His work focuses strictly on urban spaces, mainly across the architecture of the Old Eastern Bloc, and can be seen among the streets of Warsaw, Berlin, Paris, London, and many more places across the planet. Number 9. Subway Station Bowie Portrait. Although many of the incredible pieces that have already been featured on this list are instantly recognizable, few of them are as iconic as our next entry. David Bowie, one of the most prolific and legendary musicians to have ever lived, was captured in an incredible street art installations at New York's Broadway Lafayette Subway as a tribute to the late great artist in the collaboration between Spotify and the Brooklyn Museum. This fragmented street art style portrait, which makes use of natural urban features, the beams of this case capture Bowie in distinctive photorealism, but only from a certain angle. Certainly, it's a fitting testament to the life of an artist to know different identities, different faces, eras, and journeys within a singular artist's life. The Subway Takeover explored the musician's influence on music, fashion, and culture, and the installations also included printed quotes, fan-made art, and maps of his favorite New York City hangouts. Better still, above the ground the exhibition featured life-sized cardboard cutouts of Bowie that were places throughout the city from Times Square to Brooklyn and downtown Manhattan, where he featured in his many iconic styles and characters. Whether you're a fan of David Bowie or not, there's no doubting that this street art installation was a worthy tribute to his incredible life. Number 8. Roa-strapped creatures. While many of the street art that features here is on the lighter side, this next entry has a much darker theme associated to it. Let's introduce you to Roa, an artist and muralist from Belgium who has maintained a shadowy and secretive reputation for his dark art installations known as Roa-strapped creatures. This astonishingly detailed series of wild animals are juxtaposed against the urban landscape. The common thread that ties together this artist's work is the sense of these creatures being trapped in the mundane designs of a modern urban jungle, and yet the fact that we have no option but to be subjected to these images raises a far deeper inner question. Who is the trapped creature? Us or them? Roa has developed a reputation for his strong obsession with animals and rodents, and his work often combines life and death in a matter-of-fact approach. Believe it or not, but much like the incredibly powerful popular artist Banksy, Roa has also managed to maintain a secret identity. His anonymity has kept his work in his spirit free, much like the animals that he captures in his incredible art. Number 7. Cosimo Cheon's Lurking Giants. Ever seen Attack on Titan? Ever thought that being chased by humanoid creatures would be the most terrifying thing imaginable? Well, depending on the time of the day and what you've been up to, these incredible artworks could give you a serious fright, especially if you stumbled upon them unaware. Although these urban portraits are truly astonishing to behold, it seems to suggest a giant human presence living within our inner cities, ready to launch themselves at anyone unlucky enough to pass them by. Sure, it's effective, but what does it mean? Although some would perceive this giant invasion as a threat, perhaps there's something more optimistic at play here. Maybe the giant is us waiting to leave our tunnel of emotional entrapment and show the world our true size and true potential. That could be a stretch, but all art is subjective, right? Created by Milano-based street artist Cosimo Cheon, these incredible 3D interactive pieces have transformed empty walls and spaces across Europe by using the power of perspective. Cosimo has also managed to create the visual effect of the artworks interacting with your environment, resulting in some pretty special photo opportunities. Number 6. The last are lost from the list. One of the most incredible functions of street art is the ability to spark conversations in places that we do not usually hear them. Whether it's the blazing streets of South America or the windswept alleyways of Europe, street art has the ability of transplanting people and places deep into the heart of unexpected locations. This astonishing work of art titled as The Last Are Lost from the List is located in Athens, Greece, and was installed as a method of street art activism with the striking intention of raising awareness to the deforestation of the Amazon rainforest. Created by an Indonesian artist known as WD or Wild Drawing, his series of murals has street art installations and featured in all four corners of the globe, and his motivation in art is to bring attention to the voiceless. The Last Are Lost from the List has been heralded as one of the most important street artist murals of recent times, and has been vital to raising awareness to the indigenous people of the Amazon. It reminds us that no matter how advanced the cities and our skylines become, we are still children of the natural world. Number 5. The Living Wall. This next entry suddenly gives meaning to another break in the wall. Believe it or not, but sometimes the most obvious of art can be found in the crumbling ruins of old buildings and dilapidated ruins. The Living Wall graffiti, conceptualized by Russian artist Nikita Normez, shows a series of somber pieces that utilize fallen bricks and disused buildings to create a cast of surreal and 3D faces, breathing life into the landscape with a bizarre and almost cartoonish approach. This particular piece, known as the Totem, is a good representation of the overall collection, which seeks to revitalize crumbling spaces and the ex-Soviet satellites of Eastern Europe as well as the former homeland of the Soviet Union. However, rather than give us pretty flowers and animals to look at, Normez's intention seems to be an attempt to return to a grimacing face of an old unhealthy-looking man, a reflection of the crumbling landscape that Nikita grew up in. Maybe we're reading into this a little too deeply, but maybe it is an acknowledgement of the Soviet Union that came before, as well as the leaders and politicians who were ultimately responsible for its downfall. Although these faces look like they've been there for decades, Normez rarely plans his installations, instead favoring a naturalistic approach where he says that the crumbling ruins of the city come to him in moments of inspiration. Number 4. J. Crow's Incredible Murals. Despite starting out as an unknown kid with spray can, this guy has gone to be commissioned by the likes of Apple, Nike, and Adidas, so it is definitely no surprise that his work is breathtaking. J. Crow is an artist based in Long Beach, California, and his bold-dimensional work is both paint and interactive installations, which have ranged from the hyper-realistic to a reduced futuristic style. And let's not forget to mention that his work is composed only of triangles. Growing up, JC was captivated by the likes of Michael Jordan and the hip-hop giants of NWA, and his passions have since turned to inspiration, featuring in some of the most incredible murals that the world has ever seen. J. Crow has created triangular murals of Jordan, Kobe, Snoop Dogg, and even Steve Jobs, and his distinctive style has cemented his reputation as one of the most exciting and impactful street artists of recent times. Number 3. Leon Kear's Augmented Reality Art. Throughout the last few years, augmented reality has seen an exciting surge in the art world, and has particularly found a light in the world of publishing, picture books, graphic novels, and now street art. Meet Leon Kear, one of the world's leading artists in the specific style of anamorphic street art, a playful art exciting display where his incredible murals come to life and fully interactivate with their audience. Kear is a specialist in creating these interactive murals, not only through 3D optical effect that actually makes up the installation, but for his own app, the Leon Kear app, that connects those viewing his art up close with a whole new world of interactivity. Astonishingly, his artwork invites spectators to grab their phones and interact with the art, where they are then free to navigate their way around Leon Kear's work with a whole different perspective. Kear has since been commissioned to create his pieces in cities around the world, from Europe to the US to Mexico, Russia, New Zealand, Australia, and many places across Asia. In his own words, Leon Kear says that his paintings intend to confront the viewer with the diseased spirit of our times, contracting visible decay with a timeless longing for unspoiled beauty. Number 2. Adam Fu's Glow Style. For our next entry, let's look at the works of Adam Fujita, also known as Adam Fu, an artist from San Francisco who creates neon signage using spray paint. Currently based in New York, Adam Fu has been creating waves in the art world since the early 1990s, but his recent neon style didn't come to light until 2016 as a response to the US election results that saw Donald Trump appointed as president. In his own words, Adam Fu has been using these neon signs as a metaphor for keeping the lights on, as he views his work has been incredibly critical of the volatile and dangerous Trump administration. Adam's glow style can be found across most of New York City, which also addresses social issues, police violence, women's rights, gender issues, and nativism. Whenever you think of his approach, there's no denying that Adam Fu's glow style is a true work of art. And here comes number 1, Johan Karlgren's Surprise Art. Finally, for our last entry into this weird and wonderful world of street art, let's take a look at the most surprising and unexpected features on this list. Despite being a beautiful and incredible liberal place, Sweden is a country often associated with uniformity that favors a sleek and modern style, celebrated for its simplicity and efficiency. However, despite the muted tones of pastel and the earthen colors of the Scandinavian style, Johan Karlgren has made it his mission to add some cartoonish color to the streets of Sweden. This Swedish artist, known for his 8-bit style pixel art creations, began installing his miniature pieces back in the early 2010s, where he recreated popular cultural figures from pearly beads and placed them in the most unsuspecting of places. Most of his stunning pixel art creations are inspired by pop culture figures from cartoons, video games, and old movies, and he has since become a welcome addition to the streets of Stockholm and the rest of the country. There we have it, folks, 15 amazing street art that are at another level. What do you guys think about them? Let us know in the comment section, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.